Virginia and the tragedies that have happened recently here, and just a very, very difficult time. And so I know the football program there at Virginia is well affected by this, and prayers for Coach Elliott as he takes his group through that very, very awful situation. So tough. Just want to just comment from the game. Really disappointed in how we played in all three phases, and played a very good football team without question. But did see some younger guys step up and have opportunities to play against elite football team, number 2 team in the country, and felt like had a lot of positive takeaways from those guys. And Carter Smith getting a chance to play a lot of meaningful football for his first time, and Dexter quarterback, and Philip Dunn at safety, Caden Turner play as well, and then getting Donovan McCauley a chance to get a touchdown and bring those guys along. So just continue to develop and grow those guys and build our program. Also, some young guys that did a great job during the week in our scouts. We have Cooper Jones, as well as Jeff Unsiger as defensive scouts of the week. And then offensive scouts were DJ Moore and Christian Harris. And then special team scout was Reese Lozano. Excited about this week. You know, we not every place, not every program has the opportunity to play in trophy games and rivalry games, and we have 2 trophy games that we have on our regular season schedule, and we have both of those to finish out the season. So great opportunity for us to play for the brass spittoon, and a trophy that we've had twice since I've been here, and they currently have it right now. And so much to play for with our guys. Set that tone today in our team meeting with them regarding that, and it'll be the whole tone for the week and the focus, and they'll be able to get our guys ready to play our best football on Saturday in East Lansing. Questions?
I guess, Tom, sorry, I'm back here. A quarterback in particular, I mean, based on what you saw Saturday, does that prompt you to make a change at starter? Does that prompt you to build some sort of plan to play both Connor and Dexter? What do you want these last 2 weeks to look like for you behind center?
Well, to me, the goal is, you know, we got to be able to do what we have to do to be able to put ourselves in the best position to win the football game. So that's the goal, is to win. And, you know, we're going to play who we feel gives us the best opportunity to do that. So we've obviously had a chance to evaluate those guys from their game performance, and that will continue this week throughout practice. And so obviously we saw things that we know what we have there, and so we're going to be able to adapt and adjust to help us be successful on Saturday. So we'll not be naming a starter at this time, but we'll keep evaluating this week.
Hey, Coach. A few years ago, when you decided not to, you gave up play calling on defense, one of the things you mentioned was how difficult it was to balance being a head coach with the time constraints of doing that. This time around, how do you feel like you've handled that? And is it something where you think you can keep doing it going forward, or do you think at some point you'll have to pass it off again like you did a few years ago?
Yeah, I think long-term wise, I think it's a good thing to be able to pass to someone else, and I'll do that when I feel like the time is right for that situation. I think as you know, it's always challenging time-wise. You know, it was challenging before. It's just still challenging. I do feel better about the structure we have now, and I think it's helped. And with having Chad in his role and the way that he's able to take over a lot of things for me, so that's been good. But I just think, you know, just even the whole, you know, the portal, NIL, all the things that we're doing. I mean, I'm spending a lot of time working on all those things, you know, as far as the NIL piece, and that never stops, you know. And so just continuing to build that, because it's such a massive part of the direction of the future of college athletics at this level. So, yeah, it's gotten more. You know, the last time I called it, that wasn't even a variable, you know, and so there was no transfer portal and the movement that creates. And so I think the job has gotten more complex without question. And so, you know, moving forward, yeah, I'd like to be able to do that eventually, but I do like the structure we have, and we'll continue to always tweak things and try and find ways to get us better and help us play our best on a game day.
Coach, with the different changes throughout the year, and I know things change and other things cause things to be different, but at the quarterback position, how we've seen different guys play well, has there been any questioning of maybe the talent is not being identified as early as possible like maybe Dexter Williams getting to play earlier and what that could have brought to this team, but to identify the talent that is there before it's actually there.
Well, I think that's always, when you talk about your team and who you decide to play and not play, and every position is different. Obviously the quarterback position, you play one guy, so it gets emphasized with what that guy does at a higher level. I get that. You can play multiple, running backs or linebackers and DBs, and it all kind of flows. But I would say this, and it's always the case, and I feel like that. For each guy, it's their responsibility to prove during practice that they're the guy at that position, and so to me, some guys play better than they practice. You want to obviously see that grow and develop. You don't want them to be a guy that isn't locked in and focused during those practice reps, but some guys just play better, and so, bottom line is that, you go through and we'll have to see how everything plays itself out these last couple of weeks. But yeah, you obviously want to nail that. You want to be on point with that. You want to be able to project what a guy is going to be able to do. And sometimes you're right about a guy. Sometimes, he goes out there and doesn't perform the way you want him to, and then you look like you made a mistake making that decision. So I think the bottom line is that that never stops. That's going to continue, and that's why we grade and watch every practice rep, and I watch everything as well on both sides of the ball. It takes a lot of time for sure, but that's what we do, and so to be able to say, because I even go through, and when I'm watching even our younger guys, I'm like, hey, I want to see us. Hey, this is a guy. It's me. Keep showing up when we're doing certain things, whether it's watching the offensive against our defensive scouts or when I'm watching our own defense against our offensive scouts. But hey, let's get this guy an opportunity. So kind of happened with Carter Smith, just being able to identify him and see what he can do. And so, I think that you just continue that. And you want to make sure you're just getting your best players on the field. And I think we're trying to do that. And however that plays itself out moving forward is us doing our best to be able to get the best guys in position to help us be successful.
I don't think DJ Matthews was at Ohio State. I guess what's up with him? Where are Bradley and Josh Sales at? And is there any update on Cam Jones?
Yeah, so you just mentioned several guys there. So DJ Matthews did not make the trip, unfortunately. Tweaked his knee late in the week unexpectedly. So we're just monitoring that. We'll see where that's at. It was the knee that he did have surgery on. So not serious, but at the same time, it's hard, So we'll see where he's at. Josh Sales, we hope to get back. Bradley Jennings, not sure yet. That will be progressing throughout the week, but he had a lower leg injury as well. And then Cam Jones is continuing to battle to come back, and so that's a daily evaluation of him. We're going to see, do some tests today and see how that plays itself out with him moving around. So, but definitely would love to have him back, but also want to make sure it's in his best interest as well.
Hey, Tom. Dexter kept saying that he just kind of wished he would be more consistent with his throws, I guess. When you went and watched his film, did you feel like he was maybe misreading certain defenses, or was it more of a case where he saw what was there, just not making accurate throws?
Yeah, I felt like it was, rushing things a little bit, not getting his feet set on a couple throws, and just, I get it. You're out there, and it's a big stage, and he is young, and so I think that some of those misses were just go through read progression. Sometimes it's catch and throw. Sometimes it's reading the coverage and the different things that we read for each concept. And so I just think it's just being able to process everything and then get your feet right and then make throws, because obviously he has arm talent. But that is the thing I think we talk about with him, is just being more consistent in that area. And so I think as you just continue to grow and develop, those things develop right with you.
Coach, talking to Jalen earlier, excuse me. Talking to Jalen earlier, he mentioned that he was kind of looking later on into this season to kind of develop a role in the slot receiver position. Have you guys really utilized him in that position, or is there a plan to do that moving forward? Yeah,
so that's something that we would like to be able to grow him into without question. Obviously, a lot of variables with that, but I think there's no question that when you say, okay, find creative ways to get him the football, that's the next step, I think, for that, outside of him being a running back and being a return guy, which is what he's currently doing. So, yeah, I'm all in favor of that, for that, and obviously it's not just as simple as just, hey, go over there and play receiver, but there's no question that I think with his skill set and the way he has ball skills to match, that's something that moving forward you'd love to be able to get him involved with, yes.
Tom over here with Donovan McCulley. Just talk about his progression, the way he's progressed, and where you've seen him from the beginning of the year till now.
Yeah, so definite growth. Want to see more of it. Expected more of it. Just want him to continue to maximize every opportunity he gets. Go up the ball with confidence. Go get that football. He's a big guy that's got length and athleticism, and just playing with that confidence. I think that's something he needs to develop with, and it's growing. There's no question about it. And want to see him. In when I challenge him, hey, no one. When that ball's thrown up there, it's yours. With what you have physically, I want to see you be of that mind. And so, to me, there's definite growth. But it's got to continue. And I want to see him finish out this season really, really strong, because he's the guy that we have big expectations for, and I know he does for himself as well.
Coach, when Dexter tore his ACL, it was during practice, so we obviously weren't there for that. What all just do you remember about that, and then just kind of seeing him go through the process of trying to get back healthy and get back?
Yeah, I actually vividly remember it, because it was one of those where I was like, he did what? I mean, I never ever thought because he planted, he was cutting. I remember he was running to his right, he planted and he cut to his left, and that's when he popped it. And at the time we didn't know. He knew, he limped, off, but never thought that would have caused that type of injury. It was a non-contact one. He was obviously wearing a blue jersey, wasn't getting hit, so yeah, it was just one of those kind of like, wow, I can't believe that just happened once we found out that it was a torn ACL. So pretty tough. It was his first time he's had something like that happen, and had to go through the whole year-long process of coming back. Yeah. Definitely one of those. Sometimes you see a guy, you're like, oh, when you see it happen, you just kind of get sick to your stomach. You think that it might be that. And then some you just can't even believe. And that was one of those. It was not what we expected. But obviously that's in his past, and he's learned to grow from that, and just continuing to just keep getting better.
Tom, the special teams this year have, for the most part, probably been one of the real bright spots in this football team. And a guy who gets no publicity is Sean Ratcher, the guy that snaps the ball all the time for both field goals, extra points, and punting. Tell us a little bit about what you feel about that guy.
Yeah, Sean, to me, one of our most valuable players, that especially when you start thinking about most valuable players that nobody knows much about, but his value to this team is immense. He's so consistent. He's so dependable. Everybody kind of forgets he's there, because he always does his job. Great snaps, great location. We directional punt, so it's not like he just snaps straight back to the punter every single time. There's different legs you snap it to based on where we're going to punt it. So there's a lot more to it than it might even appear. And then he's the leader of that group. He's the leader of our special teams unit, and takes tremendous pride in it. Is just has high expectations. Those guys do a lot of things on their own during practice, and he leads that group. And so just invaluable to have his consistency. We went out and recruited him. He came to our camp. He worked out for us at the camp, and we offered him based off that workout. And we knew he was, that's one of those skill sets where you got numbers that you get. We know how fast his long snaps are and his short snaps are, and you can see his location. You chart all those things, and so then you try and find a guy that fits your culture and what you want here on your football team. And he fit all those things. And then he was a baseball player. I like multi-sport guys. I just think guys that learn to compete in other sports, it matters. And so I like that about him. And so that's just he kind of was the complete package of what we're looking for. And he's been phenomenal for us. And he's going to leave here with 2 degrees. And he's a very sharp young man, excellent student, and high character. So couldn't be more proud of him. And like I said, he's a guy that most people don't know much about, but very, very valuable. And what he does helps our team in a huge way win games.
Tom, this is, I guess, kind of philosophical, but when you have quarterbacks with different skill sets and thinking about Dexter's ability to obviously break the pocket and run, thinking about his arm strength, but also, as I imagine you might recognize with your staff at the beginning of the season, he may not be 1 or 2. He may be a little bit further down the depth chart to start a season. How much do you want to build for somebody like that in the event they do have to play in terms of specific packages within an offense? I imagine you don't want to spend too much time on it, but if that player, for whatever reason, does wind up playing significant snaps, basically having a part of the playbook that really goes to their specific skills, if that makes sense.
Yeah, I think that's a valid point, and I think especially like you mentioned that you got guys that have different skill sets, and that is the case here. And so, but I will say, he was, like you said, he wasn't the two, and so he was always with with that group, taking some reps, and doing all the routes on there and doing all the things with that group. So we did, for that very reason, we kept him with those guys. And so knew that he had talent for sure, was young. The year that he missed set him back without question. And obviously it is a new system that they've all had to learn. So I just think the challenge is always how many reps do you put into that guy, that may or may not play much. And to be able to get that, and then also to be able to, if it's different, so it is definitely package driven, what I would say, and it would be it's been a very precise package part of that to start with, and then you grow from there. So I think that's how you manage it, and I do think there is a lot of benefit of having, because when I sit there and think about defensively, and we come up with a game plan, if I don't have to change the game plan based on the quarterback skill set, 1A or 1B, it might not matter who the quarterback is. But if you got a completely different kind of quarterback, that can change everything that you do schematically. So there are some benefits to that without question. Does create some challenges, so you got to weigh those two against each other. And at the end of the day, for us here, we're always just trying to find the best quarterbacks we can find that we believe can help us win. And those guys are all a little bit different. And then once you decide who those guys are, you make sure your scheme is adapted to help them be at their best.
Hey, Coach. Dexter mentioned that two of his closest friends on the team are Donovan and Jalen. How much is that off-the-field chemistry and cohesiveness? How much would that possibly play a role in certain packages being put on the field and maybe increase snap counts for some guys?
Well, I think that any time, you have connectivity with guys, it's positive. I think that, that's why I think it's ideal, as you move forward and you have, a guy that's, the quarterback that's the leader of your team, the leader of that side of the football, leader of that room, leader of that, and the guys gravitate to him, that's kind of what you want. And then they, that's where in today's balance of, quarterbacks staying places and moving around like happens every place, to be able to create that, continuity and connectivity is over time is challenging without question. So, but I think that's where, because, I think it's like anything else, when a guy feels more comfortable with a certain guy, that's who he's going to look to, when he either breaks the pocket or he's back in the pocket, whether it's part of his read progression or not. So we know that. We always say, hey, who's the quarterback look to when he needs a play? That's the guy we usually try takeaway, and so I think there's no question that can be a part of those guys feeling comfortable with each other, playing well together, and looking for each other when they're out there. And so you'd like to be able to build that within your team, and that'll help you, score points and win football games.
Coach, you mentioned the portal earlier. I know guys have been going in since the season started, but I know in a couple weeks it's going to really get going when the season ends for a lot of teams. Have you guys identified any certain positions where, as you look to the portal and you get into December and recruiting really kicks up, where you might want to go try to get some older guys or a veteran guy to kind of plug a hole to bridge the gap to the younger guy?
We definitely have gone through that already and have a list of not guys, but spots, positions that we're trying to address. And so, and I think it's definitely, amazing how quickly it's changed, to where that number grows, because of guys that, in the 2s and 3 spots that choose not to stay sometimes. So I just think that, that's definitely going to be something that's going to be a huge focus. We've already identified those spots, and to me, it's, you're going to have a base level of guys coming in and out of high school. That won't change, but the group in the middle there that you have to continue to address and keep your rooms in proper order in terms of the age of that group, that to me is critical. So we've identified it, had 2 specific staff meetings regarding that already, and we'll have another one here tomorrow. So it's definitely a huge focus for us, and it's ongoing building this program.
Coach, I think you had said last week that Dexter is basically a guy that's just really well respected within the locker room. I guess, what does he do specifically to earn that? Maybe, I guess, from his teammates or specifically you?
Well, I mean, I think, like everybody, and I challenge all of our quarterbacks to be this way, and that is, you earn it by your work ethic, being a guy that is a hard worker in that weight room, everything we do off the field, in a conditioning perspective, be a leader in those moments, be in great shape. Be a guy that's leads. We talk about that phrase, leading by example. It's base level. If that doesn't happen, then it's not possible to go to the next level of leadership. But it can't stop there. And I think because he's verbal, he will encourage, challenge. He has a really, he has a great personality. He's an articulate guy that's not afraid to speak, and really loves his teammates, and then they love him back. And so I think just in general, we got several guys on this team I would say this about, but just a genuine, really good person that's worked really hard. I think they respect the adversity he's overcome to come back and to stay here. And being a young quarterback that has obviously showed that he has talent, but those guys have to kind of wait their turn. And in this day and age, it's not easy to do that. A lot of guys aren't willing to wait their turn, and so the fact that he stayed here and he's been true to us, and so I think the guys respect that about him. They enjoy being around him, and so. But I just think there's certain things you have, innately that you attract people to you. And so he's just one of those guys, and I think everybody's just pulling for Dexter. In fact, that's probably the best way to say when he's coming back, and just wanting to be able to maximize what he's been given. So just a high quality person. He's experienced some real challenges off the field as well, and at home, and that I think once again that causes guys to really just rally around you a little bit. So he's just a genuinely good person that's worked really hard and has some really good level football talent. Awesome. Have a great day, Elio.